Please be seated. Welcome to Stanford Law School's 2015 graduation. To the 259 members of the class of 2015 here today with us, congratulations. This is your day, it's your moment, and we hope you're savoring it. We are bursting with pride for all that you have accomplished and all that we know you will do in the world. We will help you celebrate today by moving this ceremony along quickly. But first things first, I know every graduate here would agree that they did not get here alone. To the parents, the grandparents, the partners, the friends, the spouses, the siblings, the children, the aunts, the uncles, the cousins, the neighbors, the pets, thank you for being here, and thank you for supporting our graduates. And I know our graduates want to thank you, which I know they will do now. Stanford Law School graduations are family affairs. We hear from members of our community, and rightly so, we start with our students. I'm proud to turn the podium over now to Pablo Acevedo Alvarez, an LLM student. In Law, Science, and Technology, and he will be followed by 3 of our JD candidates, Marta Belcher, Michael Metztitz, and Ashley Pinto.
Dean McGill and faculty, friends and family, graduating JDs and advanced degree fellows, including JSDs, LLMs, and SPILs. Welcome and good morning. I have the honor to deliver this speech on behalf of my classmates, and this is not an easy task. Not only you're one of the most challenging audiences I've ever faced, but also because you know how hard it is for me to remain solemn with my accent and personality. I hope to make you laugh or evoke your deepest emotions when I actually meant to do so. This speech is about gratitude. Gratitude to our great faculty, to my fellow classmates, to our families and friends, and to the entire Stanford Law School community. Gratitude, in the first place, to the law school, because this year I was given the chance to learn from the world's finest faculty and lecturers. With the support of our teaching fellows, we were able to keep up to the trends in our different areas of practice, to challenge our prior conceptions, and to pay tribute with a great deal of hard work. Up until last week, by the time most of other law schools in the country had already graduated. Stanford constantly reminded us that you have to work hard in order to succeed in life. And I'm thankful for that. I am also thankful for the chance to be classmates of some of this country's brightest, our JD friends that graduate today with us. Congratulations, my friends. But above all, I'm thankful because I was given the chance to stand as a peer among 70 of the world's finest minds, my LLM and SPIL fellows. Our graduating class comes from 27 different countries, with different legal backgrounds, different areas of practice, knowledge, and accents. 70 young attorneys, divided into 35 men and 35 women. During this year, we had our own small version of the world, with classmates coming from international organisms like the World Bank, or serving as clerks in international courts, or associates from leading firms, working in the world's most commented cases. And even though some of us have sworn not to study again after the struggle of obtaining our law degree back home, here we're all in September. To you, my classmates, with your leadership, I owe a great deal of the knowledge I take back home, and I'm thankful for that. Stanford Law also gave us the opportunity to connect outside of the classroom and learn from our cultures, whether by comparing everything using the phrase, in my country, or with discussions regarding the quality of food and drinks, like whether American light beer would qualify as beer in other countries, or what really constitutes a barbecue, a very important issue to me, as you know. We learn about our languages, and the best example of that was during our birthdays, when we received greetings in every single language represented in the class. That was so beautiful. Or learning how to curse in several languages, which is a skill we might use in our practices, who knows. We created memories to treasure for the rest of our lives. We saw love flourishing within the class. We celebrated the birth of 3 babies, and soon we will be celebrating the birth of a couple more. All of this could not have been possible but for our supporting families, friends, and significant others. Our achievements today, as Dean McGill said, belong to them too. And I want to represent all of that love and thankfulness by sending a big kiss to my wife. Wherever you are sitting, I love you. You are the main inspiration and support of my achievements. We spent an entire year asking ourselves, what could we take from Stanford in terms of knowledge? And we surely did take a lot. But Stanford gave us much more than we expected. Stanford taught us about awareness, about diversity. Stanford taught us that there are still many things to do in terms of equality. Even here in the US, where we could see that discrimination and injustice are still living challenges. I invite you, my fellow classmates, to take this critical thinking back home and spread it. We were privileged to be here. And after graduation, we have the unique opportunity to give back to the world. Remember that today we become ambassadors of Stanford Law School with our actions, and many eyes will be looking at us. Well, we have been living a dream for the past year, an experience out of this world. But now we must prepare to re-enter Earth. We have approached the end of the year, and time has come for goodbyes. Things will not likely be the same after today. But I'm sure that sooner than later, we will see each other again. Please keep in touch with Chris, in charge of our class gossip. And don't you dare leave the WhatsApp group. Don't be sad, guys. Remember that after this year, the world has become a little bit smaller. That's why I hope to see you soon. Please know that my home will be waiting for you. My grill will be waiting for you guys. Congratulations, class of 2015, and thank you very much.
At Stanford, we're surrounded by a spirit of innovation that constantly encourages us to ask, why do we do it this way, and how can we do it better? These are the questions that we, the members of the class of 2015, asked ourselves when we were called upon to choose a single student graduation speaker. We couldn't see why our graduation ceremony in 2015 should be the same as it was for the class of 1915. So rather than choosing just one speaker to represent all of us, we decided instead to write this speech together as a class using an online wiki that enabled all of us to contribute. The result is this speech.
In our first hour at Stanford Law School, a professor welcomed us with the words, "You've made it." We thought we knew what he meant, looking around our sun-drenched campus filled with palm trees and beautiful buildings.
Well, except that one.
Our future classmates were accomplished, if a little intimidating. Veterans, educators, musicians, athletes, and activists. People who never thought they would be here, and people who knew this was the plan all along. We had made it to Stanford, and we thought, maybe we could relax.
That lasted about a day.
You may remember it. We didn't call our families for weeks at a time.
Or we called our moms every day.
In the way of first-year law students, we lost the outside world to casebooks,
Italicized commas.
balancing tests,
And 2 spaces after a period. The plaintiffs in our casebooks achieved the status of celebrities in our minds. We dreamed of salad bar slips and severed legs. We used words like stare decisis, res ipsa loquitur, and Wingardium Leviosa.
That's from Harry Potter.
We saw law everywhere.
But we didn't see justice everywhere.
We attended law school during some of the most important civil rights struggles of our time.
On one hand, we witnessed, and some of us participated in, the legal battles for marriage equality.
We witnessed the protections of the Violence Against Women Act extend to Indian country.
But we also witnessed the dismantling of the Voting Rights Act.
We learned in the middle of exams that prosecutors would not indict anyone in the deaths of Michael Brown, Tamir Rice, or Eric Garner.
We saw the stark contrast of learning about justice in the classroom and at the same time feeling helpless to remedy the injustices we were witnessing across the country and around the world. Injustices perpetuated by the people and institutions we entrust with upholding the law. Injustices perpetuated by the very system we are about to enter.
But what we also started to see were the instruments, the strings, to hear the notes and to say the words. We each found things that resonated with us, small ways we could make change for others, and we set to work.
There are as many stories of advocacy as there are classmates in the class of 2015.
We secured the release of clients who had previously received life sentences for petty offenses under California's 3 strikes law.
We protected the rights of individuals to practice their faith as they see fit.
We represented children to ensure they received the education that met their needs.
We provided tax assistance to members of the community.
We helped families threatened with eviction.
We advocated for immigration reform and other human rights.
We published new scholarship as authors and as editors.
And we dispersed to law firms and legal organizations across the country, carrying with us our sense of Stanford collegiality and community.
We understand now that 3 years ago, we made it because we arrived at a place where excellence does not mean perfection, where ingenuity thrives and collaboration is encouraged. We made it because we had the opportunity to learn from the great minds of our time and put that learning to work to help our clients make it too.
And we made it because we found this community that we in turn made for each other. For the past 3 years, we have lived together, we have studied together, we've celebrated together, and yes, we have cried together.
We Facebook messaged answers to save classmates from brutal cold calls.
Some of us may have even dated.
We drank together at all 3 of Palo Alto's bars.
We destroyed undergrads and intramural championships.
We carried each other through hard times, and we carried each other through Las Vegas.
And we arrived at this final moment together as students at Stanford Law School. And as an expression of the great faith we have come to place in each other, we wrote this speech together too.
We recognize how privileged we are to be here today, and we know we did not make it to this moment by ourselves. To every parent, sibling, grandparent, friend, partner, and child, to everyone here today, and those of us with us in our hearts, thank you. Thank you for making sacrifices, for making time to listen to us complain even when you were stressed yourself.
To faculty and to staff, thank you for making the last 3 years great. Showing up when you didn't have to. Turning a blind eye when we smuggled food into the library. And tolerating us when we sent you 3 emails and followed up in person.
We are leaving this place as individuals with our own paths and missions, but we are not leaving this place alone. Together, we built something special here. And we don't just mean the staircase that was under construction all of our 2L year.
Take these friends, these experiences, these passions, and build something special wherever you land, at your firm or your foundation, inside the legal field or outside it.
Congratulations, class of 2015. We made it here. Now let's make it count.
Good morning, everyone. I'm John Casey. And that's it. Have a great day. So I get to follow a speech written by the 200 smartest, funniest people I know. That's great. Thanks, guys. Appreciate that. I'm presenting the Dean's Award for Excellence. This award recognizes a graduating student who has made distinctive and exceptional contributions to legal education and the quality of student life at Stanford Law School. The contributions are made for such activities as program development, commitment to volunteer activities on behalf of the law school, public service and pro bono work, student organization leadership, and clinical education. Award recipients are chosen collectively by their peers and the law school faculty and staff for active and sustained efforts that both enrich the law school community and reflect the principles and standards of excellence at Stanford Law School. When it was announced that James Barton had been selected as this year's recipient, the world's loudest collective duh was let out. Since the very first days of our law school experience, James has been constantly working to make all of our lives in Stanford Law School better. I could sit up here and tell you about all the events James has planned for our class and for the school, all the work he's done in the local community, all the incredible work he's done for the Supreme Court Clinic, all the trips to Vegas he's planned. Probably not that one. But honestly, it would take about 3 years to explain everything. I have been incredibly fortunate to be co-president with James, first for the entire student body, and now for our class, as well as an illustrious career as bars ours together. And I can tell you guys, honestly, most people don't get to see half of the work he does. Never has someone been so deserving of an award. He is tireless, brilliant, creative, and absolutely hilarious. And most importantly, he is loyal and caring and a dear, dear friend. It is the absolute honor of my law school career to present this year's award for excellence in service to James Barton. I don't even know what the award is. I don't know.
Thank you very much for the kind words, John. They could have been much more embarrassing, so I'm appreciative of that. I'm also very appreciative to my classmates and to the staff and faculty for this award. But this place, this family of scholars, activists, and friends makes it so natural to want to give of yourself for others. I've seen this class of graduates stand up for each other time and time again, sharing notes and outlines to help each other master content, attending each other's rallies, events, performances, and games to show support, challenging each other to be better for ourselves and for the world that we are stepping into today. That's what SLS is about, and it's why I put my heart into this school and this community. It's because every day I see it reflected right back at me. To my classmates, remember that no matter how far away your legal career may take you, across the country or around the globe, know that you have a home and a family here at Stanford. And if you think you're done getting emails from me, you are very sorely mistaken, because by my calculation, our first reunion is in about 16 months and 9 days. So get ready for that. Thank you again, and congratulations to the class of 2015.
The staff award is given by the graduating class to the person, administrator, or faculty member who has played an integral role in the lives of the graduating students. In March of this year, the Stanford community lost a great person, Paul Lomio. Paul had been the law school's library director since 2005. During that time, the library underwent tremendous growth and change, and Paul handled it brilliantly. Former dean of the law school, Larry Kramer, said, and I quote, "I had the opportunity to do a great many things when I was dean, but I would say that making Paul the director of our library was unquestionably the single best decision I have ever made." I think that sums it up pretty well. But this is not an award chosen by faculty or staff. This is an award chosen by the graduating class. And the reason Paul is receiving this award is not just because he helped build and run a world-class library, which he did, but more because of how much he cared about all of us and how much that showed. He really made an effort to get to know students personally, learning more than just our names, but also about our interests and passions. If he knew you had an interest in employment law and he came across a related article, he would print it up and leave it in your student mailbox. If you were in one of his classes he taught and had a birthday during the quarter, he would bring in a cupcake for you on your birthday. And instead of giving a card, he would bring the front page of the New York Times from the day you were born. Paul listened, and he was interested. I said this at the memorial we had for him here, but what more could you possibly ask from someone who works with students every day but to listen and be interested? He was a tremendous asset to this community and a good man. He'll be dearly missed. This year's staff award goes to Paul Lomio. Accepting on his behalf is his daughter, Rita Lomio.
It's my privilege now to introduce Professor Juliet M. Brody, this year's graduating class-selected winner of the John Bingham Hurlbut Award for Excellence in Teaching. Professor Brody joined the Stanford Law School community in 2006, and as you can see from your program, she wears many hats here at Stanford Law School, serving as the Associate Dean of Clinical Education, Director of the 11 full-time clinical programs that make up the Mills Legal Clinic, and Director of the Stanford Community Law Clinic in East Palo Alto, a storefront legal aid office that provides pro bono legal services to our low-income neighbors in Silicon Valley. But titles and positions aside, Professor Brody was selected by the class of 2015 because of her ability to connect with her students and because of her commitment to doing everything that she can to help those committed to launching a career in public service. Her former students highlight her compassion, both towards the students she teaches and the clients she serves. They note her ability to make her students feel heard and respected, praising her devotion to the development of both her students' legal skills, but also their ethical values. One student pointed out that Professor Brody is able to take any moment or situation, any victory or defeat in court, and find a lesson to draw from it about effective advocacy and the practice of law. As one community law clinic student reflected, "I cannot think of anyone better positioned or more capable to share her reflections on joining a profession which is defined by finding your own best self in the service of others than Professor Brody." Please join me in welcoming the winner of the 2015 Hurlbut Award, Professor Juliet M. Brody. Congratulations.
Good morning. Thank you, James, for that lovely introduction. Dean McGill, Trustee Alvarez, colleagues, parents, grandparents, other family and loved ones, and most importantly, graduates. Congratulations to you on this wonderful and happy, happy day. It is such a joy to be with you as you celebrate this remarkable achievement. I wish you knew how many times we on the faculty say, even when none of you is around, that the students are by far the best thing about teaching at Stanford Law School. And let's be honest, there's a lot of great things about teaching at Stanford Law School. But you really are what it's all about. And today we celebrate you, our about-to-be former students, as you commence your new lives as lawyers, or at least as people with law degrees. Congratulations and well done too to the people in your lives who have made it possible. You know who they are, and make sure they know today how much you appreciate them. I don't know if I can really express how moved I was when Kathy Glaze called me to tell me you had selected me for the Hurlbut Award. To say it was unexpected is an understatement. To be recognized with this honor was absolutely astonishing, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart. One of the reasons it was so astonishing is that those of us who teach using the clinical method do so by design to relatively small numbers of students. I was moved, therefore, not only personally, but because I recognized, or at least I think I recognized, that you were selecting me in somewhat of what we lawyers call a representative capacity. While I would love to think that the 30 or so of you who enrolled in the community law clinic because of your clearly superior judgment were each given 10 votes, something tells me that's not how it happened. Instead, I stand here today as a result of what I'm pretty sure was collective action among the electorate to vote for someone who could represent the clinical faculty at SLS. And that pleases me for two reasons. First, because strategic thinking and effective advocacy are among the lawyer's tools we strive to teach you. I'm happy to see you know how to run a campaign. Second, though, and more seriously, I am just thrilled that your experience in the Stanford Clinical Program inspired you to want to hear from one of us as you depart SLS and head out as lawyers. I believe this is the first time a professor who teaches exclusively in the clinic, has had this honor, and I thank you for it. Now, for those of you who may not immediately recognize the term clinical faculty, let me explain. When one hears the term law professor, one probably still pictures a solemn, tweed-wearing person standing at a lectern in the well of a large auditorium-style classroom with 100 or so rapt young students before him, decidedly him, leading his students through Socratic inquiry, a la, Mr. Hart, please rise and state the case of Pennoyer versus Neff. Very few Stanford professors probably fit that description. No one wears tweed. This is California. But the clinical faculty definitely don't. We teach through an entirely different mode, through real practice with real clients in the real world, more like a medical school rotation or residency. Our students come to us having had the very best classroom legal education imaginable, and it is our job to help students put that education in motion by taking students out of the classroom and into the world, where they perform in role as lawyers. In the clinic, students take the academic learning from the classroom and start to use it. We clinical teachers are committed to the craft of lawyering, to the idea that, as my colleague Jay Mitchell says, being smart is not enough. You have to know how to do stuff, and do it well, and do it timely. Students in the clinics have their own clients, and they do all the legal work, the research, the writing, the counseling, the negotiating, the appearing in court, everything necessary to represent them, be it in litigation, in nonprofit management, or in policymaking. Our students try cases, they write briefs and argue in appellate courts. They draft licensing agreements and contracts. They testify in Congress and in other governmental bodies. They write white papers on hugely significant public issues, all on behalf of their real clinic clients. The clinical professor provides exactly the level of supervision you would expect of someone who is taking professional responsibility for every move a student makes using her law license. No phone call, no email, no meeting, no argument, nothing is put out in the world until it has been planned and researched and mooted and drafted and redrafted and redrafted and redrafted. And all with what we hope is constructive criticism. We try to do all this with good humor and to remember that we were all newbies once, and that things that come naturally to an experienced lawyer, something as simple as picking up the phone and calling a government agency, let alone stating one's appearance on the record, can be daunting for a novice. But we want to teach our students not only how to do the things that lawyers do, we also want to prompt them to reflect about what it means to be a lawyer and about what kind of lawyer they want to be. Not whether they want to be a mergers and acquisition lawyer or a real estate lawyer, but what kind of lawyer do they want to be? What does it mean to them to join this uniquely public profession? What does it mean to behave ethically and with good judgment in this new context? What does it mean to have actual responsibility for the important affairs of someone else, to be trusted and autonomous and accountable for one's own actions on behalf of another? What does it mean for each of them to meld his or her own prior personal identity into this new professional identity, to honor their prior commitments and experiences and bring them to bear, while also becoming this new lawyer version of themselves? You can imagine it gets kind of intense. There are long hours, there are victories, there are losses, there are tears, there are lots of laughs, and we love every minute of it. I swear, every single minute. At any rate, that is who the clinical faculty is, and it is not only on my own behalf, but on behalf of all of us, that I thank you for the honor of addressing you today. Now, while I was very moved when I learned of this award, I was more than a little anxious. I knew that the honor of the Hurlbut comes with the responsibility to speak at today's celebration and to send you off with some words of wisdom, of advice, of comfort, perhaps, as you venture out from Stanford and into the somewhat less protected world. That's a little intimidating. My predecessors in this task have quoted from Dante, from Yeats, from Chaucer. That's not really my style. I'm more of a Breaking Bad kind of gal. But I don't think Walter White or Jesse Pinkman would have much to add to this moment, except maybe to remind you that sometimes you don't need a criminal lawyer, you need a criminal lawyer, yo. And I don't think that's really appropriate. So without quotes to launch, where to begin? Well, I think every class in choosing its Hurlbut speaker is not just recognizing a faculty member whose teaching they have appreciated, but is also choosing some vision of itself they hope the speaker will convey. Accordingly, I assume you will not be surprised by the theme of my speech, because it is the one that you basically selected. Fundamentally, on this momentous occasion of your graduation from law school, you have asked a legal aid lawyer to address you today. Admittedly, the luckiest legal aid lawyer in the world. What would you expect a legal aid lawyer to tell you? You would expect her to remind you of your duty to serve the poor. You would expect her to summon you to honor the highest calling of our profession, which, to my mind, embodies the highest calling of our democracy, and perhaps even of our humanity, to serve the least among us, and to measure our professional success not by what we earn or how important we are, but by how much good we have done on their behalf. So that's what I'm going to do. And in so doing, I have some good news and some bad news. I'm going to start with the bad news so we can end on a happy note. It's been a rough year, this 3L year of yours. I don't want to be overly dramatic. I know that many of the 226 years that have passed since the US Constitution came into force in 1789 have been rough, and disproportionately rough on some of us more than others. This past year may not rank among our nation's worst ever. I don't think it can compete with 1864 or 1933, for example. But I'd be lying if I said things didn't feel pretty rough right now, and perhaps roughest of all from the point of view of the rule of law. Let me start with one obvious and compelling realm of bad news. It was in the academic year that we close with this celebration that we came to know a new roster of American names: Eric Garner, Tamir Rice, Michael Brown, Walter Scott, Freddie Gray. And while we know that their stories weren't really news, and that there are literally countless and uncounted and unknown people like them, people whose lives we honored together in December on the courtyard just behind you, these names are the ones whose stories came at us this year, one after another, again and again, in what came to feel almost like a pulse the universe was sending us to insist that we take notice in a new way. No matter where you stand in this remarkably diverse country, whether your grandfather was a police officer or your great-grandfather was a sharecropper, or both, this felt like bad, bad news. And it is acutely bad, personally bad, excruciatingly bad for all of us in law. Because these incidents call into serious question the legitimacy of our systems of government accountability, and thus our rule of law itself, as well as our progress on what many, and certainly on what I think is the foundational unresolved issue of our nation. And while these incidents were the most dramatic bad news in our republic during your time here at SLS, they are of course not the only evidence of enormous unfinished business in the country dedicated in principle to equal opportunity. During your time in law school, the US poverty rate hovered around 15%. Over 46.5 million people had incomes below the federal poverty level and were thus officially poor. 50 years into the war on poverty, 20% of American children live in poverty. The statistics for children of color are distressingly higher. Here in the richest country in the world, almost 15% of Americans regularly don't have enough to eat. No fewer than 50,000 of our nation's veterans are homeless, and those are the veterans. And as for mobility, for moving out of poverty, research this year by the Brookings Institution finds that a child born to poor parents is 10 times more likely to stay poor than to rise out of poverty. And that even though at the earliest stages there are no measurable differences in cognitive ability between children in poor and rich families, those children's outcomes diverge dramatically and quickly based on factors other than that ability. Well, what about law? What news have we of the legal profession and the poor? Well, however you measure poor people's access to lawyers, there's pretty bad news. The public defender system guarantees a lawyer in criminal cases, though few would hold that system up as a model, but there is no such guarantee in civil cases, even where the stakes are arguably as high, such as eviction or basic income maintenance. In the absence of a right to counsel, poor people rely on legal aid or voluntary pro bono services. Well, the US has one legal aid lawyer for every 6,400 low-income people who's eligible, compared to one private lawyer for every 429 people who aren't poor. At least 80% of poor people's civil legal needs go unmet. The vast majority of poor people who go to court do so without a lawyer, even if they're going over something vital. And to be clear, this is not by choice, but because they can't afford a private lawyer and there aren't enough pro bono or legal aid lawyers to represent them. Now, sometimes, of course, having a lawyer isn't enough. Those of us who work in legal services can tell you that even where poor people have a lawyer, things don't always work out. For example, even the best Stanford-trained lawyer in the world can't save your housing when the landlord evicting you hasn't done anything illegal. Poor people's rights to affordable housing and private landlords' rights to use their property as they see fit do not always go well together. Whether you have lived here for the 3 years you've been in law school or are just here for the weekend, you can read in the local news about this problem. There's nothing illegal about landlords here in Silicon Valley, in East Palo Alto, and Redwood City, and elsewhere, evicting their low-income tenants so they can invest in renovations and re-rent the apartments at higher rents to a different clientele. It's happening around the Bay Area, and it's happening around the nation as we recover from the Great Recession. There's nothing illegal about it, and there are no easy answers, but it's bad news for low-income tenants and their lawyers. In sum, while reasonable people of good faith can and do disagree about many important issues of public policy, we can all agree that our nation continues to face enormous challenges. I've used as examples today the ones that have the most personal resonance for me: a lawyer for poor people in East Palo Alto, a majority minority city in Silicon Valley. But there are more in the realms of privacy, security, international human rights, the environment, etc. We may disagree mightily on the nature of, and therefore the solutions for, some of the most pressing and enduring of these challenges, but our democratic tradition is one committed to dealing with them with reasoned, if passionate, debate, instead of suppression or worse, violence. Lawyers, on behalf of their clients, have always been and continue to be at the center of those debates. That's where we get to the good news. There is good news today for you and of you. First, you have chosen a profession that has service at its core, and equality and justice as its animating values, if not always its daily diet. I referred earlier to law as a uniquely public profession. By that, I meant to refer to the fact that law and public life are inextricably bound together. Law, at its most basic, is the system by which we work out the tensions, sometimes dangerous tensions, inevitable from collective life. The system by which we balance private gain and public benefit, private freedom and public commitments, by which we regulate private behavior and establish norms and parameters for the peaceful pursuit of happiness. And more good news, at least from where I sit, you're joining the profession that has, however slowly, moved forward the rights and interests of the have-nots in powerful ways. The law gave us Gideon versus Wainwright, which guaranteed every person charged with a crime the lawyer I mentioned a minute ago, and gave us Brown versus Board, which recognized that de jure segregation denies citizens equal protection of the law. And moreover, you are joining the profession that, even while appreciating the diversity of its membership, asks each and every one of us to serve the poor and to recognize that in a constitutional democracy, a legal system that is available only to those of means is not a legal system worth defending. So that's the good news for you. At least I hope you think it's good news. But even better news for the world is the good news of you. You are a remarkable bunch. Looking out at you, I see the young lawyers who have already committed to these ideals. I see the young lawyers who have stayed many, many extra hours in East Palo Alto, working into the night to perfect the brief they will submit on behalf of a homeless person with mental illness whose only shot at even a minimal income is in the hands of the judge before whom you will appear tomorrow. I see the young lawyers who have stood up with kids seeking a decent education and with victims of horrible violence seeking asylum in the US so they're not returned to their tormentors. I see the lawyers who have traveled across the globe to help those in developing democracies craft legal codes and constitutions to ensure equality and justice in former tyrannies, or to document the human rights abuses still underway. And I see the lawyers who have worked as apprentice prosecutors, bringing to that noble tradition the best possible values of humility, proportionality, and wisdom. And I see the young lawyers who have wept with gratitude for the clients who have seen them as allies. The lawyers, in other words, who approach this work not in the spirit of charity, but in the spirit of shared fate, who know that their own lives are at stake as much as their clients. Now, as I said, while there is good news, it might not be as good as you once hoped. I assume that many of you came to law school for the same reason I went to law school, animated by your passion to advance justice for those who had way too little of it. You came to law school, in the oft-used metaphor, to add a new tool to your toolkit. You felt that the tools you had, the academic chops, the art history degrees, were not up to the job, and you came to get a bigger, better tool, the bigger, better tool. But once you got here, you started to realize things were a little more complicated than maybe you'd hoped. Just as you developed your ability to craft a legal theory to bring justice where it is so desperately needed, you realized you also had the ability to craft a pretty good argument on the other side. You came to realize that even the most brilliant, seemingly irrefutable argument was not enough to change the world once and for all. You realized that there isn't a Brown or a Gideon around every corner, and that even if there were, it wouldn't be enough. Indeed, you realized that many of the hideous injustices that persist, like poverty in the land of plenty, like unarmed teenagers being killed by police, do not persist because there are no lawyers trying to end them. They do not persist because of lack of creativity and passion and hard work and dedication and sacrifice by lawyers and others. They persist despite these things. They persist because they are just plain hard to eradicate. So why do I still see cause for joy, for optimism? Where do I find this good news? Well, perhaps surprisingly, for those of you who know me even a little, it comes from the Mishnah, the ethics of our ancestors, ancient Jewish ethical teachings. As all CLC students know, if only from the backs of our t-shirts, the Mishnah teaches that you are not required to complete the task of repairing the world, but neither are you free to ignore it. On this view, your obligation is not to solve the problems of the world. That's great news. Given the recalcitrance of injustice, be glad that you are not required to complete the task. But don't be fooled, because neither are you free to ignore it. And this may prove more difficult than you think. The America that we live in today gives people of means the ability to ignore some of the problems that I've mentioned today. While new technologies have brought us together, at least from the vantage point of images and information, our material daily world continues to be a radically segregated, siloed world, a world in which the poor can be almost literally invisible to the non-poor. But whether you take your advice from the ethics of the ancestors or from the ethics of the legal profession, you should not, you may not, accept that invitation to ignorance. The even better news is that as a lawyer, you have actual abilities to do things. We, your clinical teachers, have seen you do them already. You are not just smart. You are trained to solve problems, to collaborate, to read carefully, to ask clarifying questions, to write and speak persuasively and with precision. And you have role models and mentors and courts and agencies and commissions all waiting for you to sign up and show up. Don't believe people who say there are too many lawyers. Go to housing court or immigration court or family court and see for yourself. I was just there Thursday. I overheard a volunteer attorney whose full-time job is in a law firm, a private firm you would all recognize. He told the tenant he was helping how great it felt to be able to actually help someone who needed legal advice, and how rarely he got that feeling from his regular job. That day, he was one of the 6,400 lawyers for the poor. He signed up and he showed up. So listen to the ancestors. Don't be distracted, as I have been at times, I must admit, by anxiety that the things you are doing are not enough or not quite the perfect things. Do not mourn your inability to repair the world. You are not required to complete the task. Instead, whether as your full-time calling or simply every chance you get in what I know will be a full and demanding life, do your part. I can virtually guarantee you, you will never regret that you did. And your children will be as proud of you then as your parents are of you today. One last piece of very good news, which is more specifically about your generation of lawyers. You guys have some awesome toys. While we may not like you staring at them during class, we 20th century dinosaurs must admit that the new technologies that your generation is bringing to market and into our hands have enormous game-changing capacity, even including in the realm of repairing the world. And no one could deny that the reason we know the names with which I started these remarks is because of these tools and their power to capture and reveal what otherwise would have gone unseen by most of us. That pulse of the universe actually came through a smartphone. One last piece of advice: don't blink, because before you know it, 25 years will have passed, and young people will be asking you, how did you decide to spend your career? Start getting your answer ready now, and then go do it. On the theme of my generation appreciating what yours will bring to our task, I want to close with the words of the great American sociologist and author W.E.B. Du Bois. I have loved my work. I have loved people and my play. But always I have been uplifted by the thought that what I have done well will live long and justify my life, and that what I have done ill or never finished can now be handed on to others for endless days to be finished, perhaps better than I could have done. So here's to next year, to the future, to the good news of you. We will miss you very, very dearly. Congratulations.
Are we done? Oh, we might have something left. Will the candidates for the degree of the Doctor of the Science of Law please step forward? Adi Aron Gilad. Agnes Hoi San Chong. Sangmin Shim. Will the candidates for the degree of Master of the Science of Law please step forward? Matthew Louis Bonvoisson. Wolfgang Alschner. Yifat Aran. Johan Carlos Barcena. Mariana Castrillon Perez. Luisa Ferreira Peralta. Diana Esther Guzman Rodriguez. Celia Lerman. Pan Su. Anthony Terra Ibanez. Emma Surkoff. Will the candidates for the degree of Master of Laws in Corporate Governance and Practice please step forward? Noof Rashid Al-Sulaidi. Isabel del Carvalho e Silva. Shinsuke Abato. Jana Glock. Umberto Hassan. Heidi Anina Hietian. Desley Tanith Horton. Mikito Ishida. Hiroyuki Kurihara. Jay Gurley. Yang Li. Lucas Jose Marinovich. Valerie Ann Elizabeth Maynud. Bernardo Motomura. Kian Ni. Elena Nertina. Jonathan Pale. Alexandre Henri Pavels. Arnaud Philippe. Mariana Medic. Samuel Blumen Schroeder. Bo Shong. Carissa Lu Shi. Andre Barros. Lina Maria Artunduaga Arriaga. Ishan Chaturvedi. Siddharth Fresa. Pablo Eugenio Hamilton Silva. Ju Ching Huang. Sujin Lee. Gonzalo Paredes Saig. Mariela Perone Reed. Matthew David Roach. Hisako Takahashi. Gonzalo Vial Forcade. We somehow snuck the ELP people in there with the CGP people. So I would like to say that the last group there was the Master of Laws in Environmental Law and Policy. Now, to give them their due, now we're going to the Master of Laws in Law, Science, and Technology. And you've seen this guy before. Pablo Andrés Acevedo Alvarez. Sebastián Alvarado. Danielle Beneke. Christopher Ballard. Paula Camara Baptista de Oliveira. Candy Shuk Ting Cheng. Luca Fabio Dalmolin. Maria Deneri. Roberto Domingos Taufik. Vivica Felenius. Alvaro Fomperosa Rivero. Pei Yu Huang. Naoko Ishihara. Patrick Thomas McAvoy. His upper court. Bhavish Yavani Ravi. Udit Sood. Olga Sasuni. Jill Talioglu. Di Yao. Zuyun Hong. So are we done now? Maybe we get another one in. Joseph Nigel Edward Dolan. Now maybe we're done. Oh, no. Will the candidates for the degree of Doctor of Jurisprudence please start coming forward? Benjamin Davis Adams. Congratulations. Adam A. Amir. Rebecca Marie Arriaga. Denise Ballesteros. Cynthia Barmore. James David Barton. Alyssa Noel Hanson Bauer. Congratulations. Nice speech. Francesca? Marta Francesca Belcher. That's okay. Yeah, I tried to find you. Yeah, you know middle name. I was just checking for middle name. Arwa Ben Amran. Elizabeth Berardi. David B. Berman. Carly Lee Bittman. Allison Elizabeth Block. Congratulations. Salvatore Umberto Bonacorso. Skylar Dune Brooks. Congratulations. You want your middle name? John Casey. Shelley R. Shabon. Roy Nicholas Kwan Wo Chang. Leonardo Chinguanco. Aaron Cho. Susie Choi. Congratulations. Aaron Ashley Conrad. Casey L. Core. Vincent M. Crowley. Connie Lee Dang. Merritt Ellen Delph. Samuel J. Dippo. Jessica M. Dragonetti. Gary Ryan Dial.
Congratulations.
Christopher David Edelman. Ibrahim Mohammed Al-Shami.
Congratulations.
Kate Markin Falkenstein. Farbode Casey Faraji.
Congratulations.
Jun Feng.
Congratulations.
Jaren Samantha Fields. Lauren Allison Finkelstein. Jordan L. Flanders.
Congratulations. I think you make it.
Scott Michael Flans. Elizabeth Claire Feudal. Jonathan D. Frank. Richard Freeman.
Congratulations.
Michael Frankel. Yale Fu. Jason Schuyler George.
Congratulations.
Lauren Moya Gallagher.
Congratulations.
Michael Frederick Gosling.
Congratulations.
Benjamin Apatow Gould. Lydia Marie Gray. Amelia Blair Green. Blair Kristen Green. Amit Gressel. M. Peyton Gully. Mari Gutman. Natasha Haney. Lauren Michelle Harding. Matthew P. Henry.
Congratulations.
Stephen Herndon.
Congratulations.
Matthew J. Higgins.
Congratulations.
Michelle M. Hillenbrand.
Congratulations.
Andrew Takayuki Ho.
Congratulations.
Elizabeth Helen Hook.
Congratulations.
Simon Hu.
Congratulations.
Kip McPherson Hustis.
Congratulations.
Vikram Iyengar.
Congratulations.
Sarah Elizabeth Jobro. Per Devise Jansen. Brooke Danielle Jenkins. Really proud of you. Leslie Bernard Joseph. Emily Casey Warren Kapoor. Allison Faye Carroll. Alexander James Kasner. Gregory William Keenan. Trevor Moorhead Kempner. Jacob Barrett Kider. Zachary J. Koslop. Monsi S. Kotari. Andrew Edward Kushner. Neil K. Lalchandani. Michelle Elise Lamy. Brian Lau. Lindsay N. Larson. Andrew Cadigan Lawrence. Percy Lee. Samantha Aaron Lefland. Lisa Zhao Yu Li. Yin Mei Li. Lincoln Lowe. Corey Lorick. Kimberly M. Lovett. Elizabeth Shaw Lowell. Shoshana Lusich. William Greer Maccabee. Mark Andrew Mallory. Nikki Marquez. Kara McBride. Carrie McClelland. Okay. Okay. Ian McKinley. Jacob Battle McMahon. Shay G. McPhee. Congratulations. Really proud of you. Michael James Mestitz. Congratulations. And I am proud of you too. Jeffrey Christian Middleton. Congratulations. Matthew V. Miller. Congratulations. Devin Lee Mobley Ritter. Congratulations. Alfredo Montalongo. Congratulations. Andrea Marie Montoya. Congratulations. Riley Moore. Congratulations. Michael Joseph Morillo. Jacob I. Morrison. Congratulations. Yonatan Levy Moskowitz. Congratulations. Jordan Francis Murray. Because I can never remember a name when everybody looks the same. Roland Charles Nadler. Sneha Murthy Nath. Congratulations. Brett Rudolph Nelson. Congratulations. Ryan T. Nelson. Congratulations. Cameron Walker Ormsby. Congratulations. Cecilia Oyediran. Congratulations. Alejandro P. Pacheco. William Tucker Page. Congratulations. Jennifer Shearer Palmer. Congratulations. Byung Kwan Park. Congratulations. John Christian Perez. Yes, thank you. Congratulations. Ashley Ann Pinto. Amanda Marie Prasoon. Chelsea Ann Priest. Raza Rashid. Stephanie Dawn Reeves. Teresa Alexandra Reed. Mosianio Samuel Relaford. Natalia Renta. Congratulations. Cassidy Rose Rice. Jordan Andrew Rice. We're okay? All right. Stephen Ryan Benson Richards. Matthew Keith Reetfors. Congratulations. Sophia Marie Rios. Congratulations. Travis Edward Robertson. Congratulations. Randall A. Robinson. Congratulations. Michael Dalton Rodriguez. Congratulations. Brian Bruce Rogers. Lucia Zotiquetzal Valentina Luis Royval. I practiced that one. Micael Rojas. Jennifer Nicole Rosenfeld. Congratulations. Carl Ruggiero. Congratulations. Melissa Brooke Runston. Congratulations. Kristen L. Setveit. Congratulations. Sarah Solomon. Jonathan Tanetti Schatz. Nicholas Bass Shiner. Okay. Alex Schierenbeck. Gregory Michael Schweizer. Stephen H. Sieber. Nicholas R. Sidney. Ian J. Stearns. Evan Harris Stein. Mark Stephen Storsley. Kalisha Nicole Stewart. Laura Elizabeth Sullivan. Congratulations. Christopher Jeffrey Kelly Swift. Congratulations. Wesley Z. Congratulations. Lloyd Douglas Thompson III. Congratulations. Joe Tobias. Laura Tong. Okay. Congratulations. Gael Emily Tribier. Congratulations. Joseph David Trujillo. Congratulations. Kay Grace So. Andrew Joseph Vaden. Congratulations. Andrew Crosswaite Vandenover. Congratulations. Cody J. Vensky. Matthew Q. Verdon. Nida Vidutis. Stacy Villalobos. Rebecca A. Vogel. Thomas Robert Wakefield. Jia Wong. David Samuel Watnick. Morgan Noldholm Weiland. Andrew D. Whalen. Krista N. Whitaker. Rachel Kimball Wilcox. Jenna Williams. Tiffany Yang. Vincent Chang Hong Yu. Zain Khalik Yunus. Christina Janae Zuniga. Kenny Zarita. Carolyn N. Esser. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Stanford Law School class of 2015.
If you've been paying very close attention, you'll notice that we've now switched from candidates for the degree to graduates of the class of 2015, that's when that moment has happened. So my job is to charge you as a class of 2015 to give you one last message before you go on your way. The charge is aimed at the graduates. It speaks particularly to their experience, but let me say to all of you who are here who supported these graduates, thank you for making them who they are. Thank you for supporting them. And thank you for sharing them with us. They're inspiring and funny and skilled and kind and smart and charming and memorable and wise all at once. We've been privileged to teach them, and we're bursting with pride to call them our own. To you graduates of 2015, this is the third charge I've written for a graduating class, and I have to confess it's been the hardest one by far. One reason is that most of you JD students sitting out there feel like classmates to me. We started together. We came to Stanford Law in 2012 at the same time, and we learned about this place together. Most of us had not yet heard the bizarre acronyms that pepper the Stanford vocabulary. We knew nothing about law talk and its ways. We had not yet learned to find a room when it might be in 3 different buildings. Room 230, is that the second floor of the Newcomb building, the second floor of the library building, or the second floor of the classroom building? We didn't know about open mic night. We didn't know about blizzards of emails that food was available outside room 290. And most of us knew nothing about the Stanford Band. I still don't know anything about the Stanford Band. I don't know about you all, but innovative and entrepreneurial and space, as in I'm working in this space, were not words that I'd used much. Together, we went from initiates to pros. I have relished these 3 years that I've gotten to spend with part of the JD class. Because we came up together, it was especially bittersweet for me to see you walk across the stage today. But it's also the hardest one because, as a lot of the speakers have already made clear, it's just been a really hard year. We live in a world that has a lot of challenges. We worry about the future viability of our planet. We worry about the ways in which we fail to treat each other with dignity and respect based on our differences. And we worry about the vastly different life chances of those of us with luck and privilege and those of us without it. All of these challenges, I think, have seen much more present in the last few years, and that's certainly true at campuses nationwide. Campuses have had deep conflicts over politics, obligations to future generations, morality, human rights, sexual identity, racial prejudice, sexual assault. But however hard this year has been, I think it's been a really hard year to be a student of the legal system and the legal process, and to be learning how to be a lawyer. All of you came to law school with some optimism about the promise of law and the legal system. I read enough admission files to know that. But for many of you sitting here today, that faith has been shaken, deeply so, by what you've seen and what you've experienced, especially the role that racial prejudice and collective indifference play in the lives of so many people of color, and in the cruelty and the brutality of our criminal justice system. So I actually want to talk, I promise, just for a few minutes about what to do if and when your faith gets shaken. You all have ambitions for what you want to contribute in your careers and in the communities you live in and in the world. What do you do if you lose faith that you can accomplish what you hope? Some of you have felt that this year and wondered whether you should be doing what you're doing. That's not been all of you, but I suspect that many of you are likely to face at some point in your life a period where it seems like the career or the community or the world that you would like is not to be. And you'll wonder, why are you doing what you're doing? I confess that I can hear my 89-year-old mother saying, but Lizzie, that's a really bummer of a topic. But stay with me. I think I have some ideas and I hope some inspiration that comes from you. The first and most important imperative, I think, is obvious if sometimes hard to do. Engage. It's difficult, but you've got to get yourself to act. There are many ways to do it. You can participate, you can advocate for change, you can lead. And given your education, you possess an incredible set of tools and a way of thinking that allow you to act. And really, what choice do you have? It might help to think about the many who came before you who engaged when it probably seemed hopeless. Think about Justice Ginsburg and O'Connor. Both offered jobs as legal secretaries when they graduated from law school. Think of the brave and brilliant lawyers who systematically attacked state-sponsored racial segregation. And there are many examples today of people who find it in themselves to engage in the face of what feel like overwhelming odds. I was just reading about our graduate, Afam Onyema, who runs a nonprofit aimed at getting life-changing medical care to Nigerians. Nigeria happens to be one of the worst places in the world, statistically speaking, to be born because of the state of basic medical care. His goal is to build state-of-the-art medicine in his country. For now, he's running a nonprofit that does medical missions and maternal and child health programs and they make progress 10, 20, 30 patients at a time. Maybe these examples seem daunting to you because they seem like 1 in a million individuals. But can't you all think of someone who's not so larger than life, someone who's engaged and made everyone around them better off? I say take a lesson from them. The second idea is to find community, to find a connection with others. In looking for an inspiration for a speech that is actually called a charge, I have been reading about the military history of the charge. That is, when troops rush an enemy to overcome them. The charge has an interesting history that I promise I will not go into. It goes at least back to the Greeks and their phalanx that marched in an ordered way and then ran at the end. There are lots of strategies, head-on, around the side, from behind, and there are many tools, historically, the bayonet, the bow, the cavalry. But at its most basic level, the charge requires a group with a shared goal, working together to accomplish a mission. For you, it could be a community of 2 or 5 or 7, or it could be a movement of thousands. It will help you achieve what you want to achieve, and more than that, it will support and it will nourish you. My third thought is change the question. If you lose hope, look again at the problem. Is there another way of understanding it? Can you figure out a different piece of it to make progress on? I think we've all had the experience of beating our head against a wall, failing to find a solution, and then we change something. We talk to someone new. We alter the focus. We learn of an unusual example. We ask the opposite question, and something emerges. My favorite example of this comes from modern medicine and actually migraine medications. The headache, it was long thought, was caused by blood vessels constricting, and therefore medications to relieve headaches were aimed at dilating your blood vessels. It turns out migraines seem to work in the opposite way. Someone decided to try medications as a treatment that constricted the blood vessels. And the modern and quite revolutionary migraine medication was born. So if your faith is shaken, if you worry that it's not worth working for what you seek, stay engaged, create your own phalanx, and take another look at what you're after. And here's the inspiration. You have done every single one of these things many times over since you got here. That's why I said, stay with me on this topic. Let me remind you of something I say at every orientation. I told you that we had searched far and wide for you. And we worked really hard to convince you to join us because we really care about who joins the community of Stanford Law. Why? Well, we want to teach you, but we also know that you are going to teach us and that you are going to change us. Stanford Law is a collective enterprise. It's true, some members of the collective enterprise are permanent residents, but the ever-changing group of students are anchor tenants too. In your time here, you have engaged like mad. You have created a community worthy of charging the field. And you have taken a 3rd and 4th and 5th look at everything. Some of you have taken these actions in the face of a real crisis of faith in the legal system of which you are planning to become a part. You helped hold the die-in in December. You helped hold an incredible My Life Matter event, and you facilitated countless conversations in classrooms and community rooms. You have founded new organizations, you have held conferences, you created a new journal, you traveled overseas to compete and learn. Your interests have led to new classes, new policy labs, new reading groups, and new initiatives. You've created new social events for your class to bond with one another and new service events for your class to do good and also bond with one another. When you joined us, I promised you, we picked you because we knew you would change us for the better. And you have. So if your faith is shaken, just remember what you did as a class during your time here and use that as your model. Keep doing what you've been doing. We know you will. Now I just want to say, get to it. That's the end of our ceremony. But first, let me make the last announcement about food that you're going to hear at Stanford Law School. After we process out together, please join us in the Law Lounge in Crocker Garden for a reception with graduates and family and friends. Congratulations, class of 2015.